Welcome to Back to the Futures, the official podcast of the Futures Collegiate Baseball League, presented by ChangeUp. I'm Owen Shadrick, and joining me, very decked out in USA gear, is my co-host, Johnny Maffey. Johnny, how are you today?
I'm great, Owen. Thanks to everyone for watching and tuning in and listening as always. Happy Memorial Day, and thank you to all who served and paid the ultimate sacrifice.
Yes, thank you to all who have served our country. Happy Memorial Day to everybody. And to get right into it, what a Memorial Day weekend it was for the Futures League. In particular, Thursday night, when we had our first 4-game slate at 9 o'clock, every single game within the 30-minute span either tied or was cut to a 1-run lead. It was absolutely ridiculous. Vermont tied it in the ninth. New Britain tied it in the ninth in the top half. Brockton forced extra innings and a home run derby in the bottom of the ninth. And Nashua cut their game to a 1-run game. It was an incredible night of baseball. And it was fantastic to get started the way it did. But beyond that, Johnny, we got an introduction to our new field on Saturday, which you and I attended.
Yeah, that was a fun road trip right up to Burlington, Vermont. Centennial Field very much lived up to the hype. They exceeded the hype. CJ Knudsen, their senior VP, did a great job. He was out there dragging the field. He was interacting with the fans. He put together a great product. New owner Chris English and head coach Pete Wilk, they have a great team on their hands, and it was a lot of fun, and it was beautiful up there despite all the rain we had down here in our neck of the woods.
Yeah, an absolutely beautiful day in Burlington, Vermont. Got a little cold later in the game, but it was certainly a great sight to see, to have Centennial Field officially in the Futures League hands. Very excited. For today's episode, we have New Britain Bees manager Donnie McKillop. Really excited for you guys to hear this interview. He was so fun to talk to, and he's extremely excited to be the Bees manager.
Talk about a baseball guy, Owen. I mean, this is Donnie's first year as a manager in the Futures League, but he seems to know a lot of people. He's really injected into the heart of Connecticut baseball right now. Yeah,
from Loomis to the Bees, he's got baseball experience up and down. Very excited for you guys to hear this. And we're going to get you to that interview right now. So without further ado, we present our interview with Donnie McKillop.
Let's roll.
At this time, we are honored to be joined by our next guest, who is in his first year as manager in New Britain. It's Donnie McKillop of the New Britain Bees. Donnie, thank you so much for joining us today, and welcome to Back to the Futures. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks for having me. Excited to be, in the Zoom room here with you guys. Enjoying the podcast.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. And right off the bat, you guys won your first game and come from behind fashion on night one, Wednesday night. How'd it feel to get your first Futures League win on the first night in front of the home crowd?
Yeah, it was awesome. Kind of just soaking in the whole event there in New Britain. The setting is pretty sweet. It's just an amazing space. And the fans, I met Jesse, my loyalist, right up the first baseline. Who knows, probably more guys in the dugout than I did night one. And then the B unit up in the top tier, there was one dude chasing every fly ball and competing with the little kids. It was pretty epic. So the vibe, that just kind of soaking that all in, I think the players really enjoyed it and just had a lot of fun. And to get that W, especially in that dramatic come from behind fashion after we watched a thunderstorm for a little bit of time, it was a pretty cool event.
So you just touched on it. What's it like to play in New Britain Stadium, which has been a staple of Connecticut baseball for around the past 20 years?
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. The history there. The first time I was there, it was the Rock Cats were playing Double-A baseball, and I'm from Southern California. I actually stumbled into a high school teammate of mine, Alex Dickerson, on a date with my then girlfriend, who's now my wife. So it's a special place for me. The status of Connecticut baseball, I've been super impressed by the level of play, especially in New England and the state of Connecticut. And being right there, it's only about 30 minutes from where I live up here in Windsor, Connecticut. So it's a pretty smooth trek and pretty central for people to get to from all over the state. It's a great spot. So again, it is the fans, the vibe, the stadium, the clubhouse. I'm very privileged to have a manager's office and a coach's locker room and a pretty sexy looking player's locker room too there. It's a cool setup. Brad and Brett are great in the front office for us too and let us operate and have a ton of fun. And we've got unbelievable access to that facility. So our players are in there every day. We unfortunately it rained out tonight, but Brad and Brett are in there every day, and the players went down and got a workout in this morning. So it's a sweet space to be able to kind of call mine and ours. It's really quite a privilege.
So the status of Connecticut baseball is now lucky enough to include you right in the heart of it. How did that come about? How did you become the new Britain skipper?
I been coaching baseball at Loomis now for 5 years. And in the summer times, I had been coaching AAU baseball. And I've had a litter of children here in the past 3 years. I've got 3 kids, and I've actually got another one coming at the end of August here. So the AAU scene was good. It was flexible and was fun to also at Loomis. We can recruit a little bit. So being on the road was nice, kind of making some networks there. And then what happened was I actually was on an alumni Zoom call with Brad Smith, and he mentioned that he was affiliated with a team in New Britain, and, just kind of got to talking a little bit about it. He invited me to a game last summer, and I went and watched the game, and I didn't realize he was that high up in the organization. And so ended up, it was just kind of an alumni connection where we developed a relationship. And then when they were looking to make a change with the managerial spot, I reached out and was definitely excited about the opportunity and got to know Brad and Brett and a little bit about the dynamics of the summer. And it just seemed like a perfect fit. I'm a 10-month employee at Loomis. So that summertime is just a great space for me to really continue coaching baseball. And then for the Loomis piece of it too, I've developed those relationships in the AAU world with other youth coaches. So now I can trust those guys and kind of make phone calls and see videos and go see kids, I guess, on Mondays or in the mornings. The schedule is pretty packed, but pretty confident that a lot of the stuff I had done in the years prior will still set me up to be successful in my full-time day job in the regular year too. So
yeah, we're really excited to have you in the league and to see how your perspective plays into the New Britain fold this season. And one thing that's unique about coaching summer baseball is the fact that so many guys are going to be on and off rosters all summer. So what is your plan to manage this team as that unfolds, as players are jumping in the roster, out of the roster, etc.?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. Here we are waiting for the NCAA, tournament and things to end. Eastern was just knocked out, which is a bummer for a lot of our guys in their NCAA careers and their kind of pursuits of that. But for New Britain, I'm excited some of those guys are coming now. So give us a little bit of depth. We played the last 2 games with 2 defensive substitutions. So, that was tricky, but I think all of us are going through it in these first few weeks, waiting for guys to kind of fill in. And, the nice thing about the level of play is a lot of these guys are pretty capable of playing a high level of baseball. And as long as I don't, overcoach or overcomplicate what we're trying to get done early in the season, guys can play routine baseball, fundamental baseball, and have some fun doing it. It's just got to be a lot of trust and credibility in what the ownership's brought in for the talent, and then, letting the kids play and reach their potential as we go. A lot of the coaching early is kind of in game until we feel like our nucleus of kids starts to kind of fill in, and then, maybe we'll start to do some more team strategy type stuff. We laid down a pretty successful sack bunt last night. We're doing some little team things, but we're not running the wheel at this point. Don't tell anyone that, I guess, right? I'm a little too public with that news, but right now we're just going to kind of take the out and play baseball and hopefully win the at bats that we're supposed to, both offensively and defensively.
Yeah, and you talk about defensive substitutions and the lack thereof. There's also the issue with pitching restrictions that happen with the guys that come here and have pitch counts, not only from their coaches, but from the league rules as well. So how do you balance those?
Yeah, so Brad and Brett have done a good job. We have I think the 24-man bullpen on our roster. And so we've got enough arms for sure. Early on right now is when it's going to be a little tricky. Our day 1 starter got knocked out a little early, so that put a little stress on us. But then last night, Nemchek threw, I think, 5 quality innings and only gave up 1 run. And so we used 3 arms last night in 10 innings. That was a huge performance for us, especially, playing a team who had scored 14 runs the night prior. So really it's going to be about being efficient, making sure that the guys who are going right now are executing. And then we do have, right now I think we've got enough arms to get through some time. And honestly, this rain tonight maybe doesn't hurt us because Monday's Memorial Day. And so we were on slate for, last Wednesday to next Monday before we would have had an off day. So this maybe helps our pitching situation for early season stuff. But, we've got a great pitching coach in John Nagel, who's done the CCBL stuff for a while. He's out of Simsbury, coaches over at Westminster, school in my prep league that I coach in the regular year. And so we have a lot of trust in him and just bouncing ideas back and forth. And Cam Beliveau played infield at Hartford, but also fancies himself a little bit of a pitching guy too. So he loves to work with John, and he kind of floats between pitchers and position players. I think our other coach, Matt D'Annunzio, thinks he's crazy liking the pitchers as much as he does. Sometimes there's that divide between your pitchers and position players of just culture and fun. And I think you poke more fun at it anyways, just for the clubhouse joy of it too. But It's going to be a lot to manage, something that, I haven't really done a ton of in my past, but, like at Loomis, we manage a small number, probably a smaller number of arms in a really condensed season, right? So I remember my first year here at Loomis, in 2018, we had 5 games in 6 days with, realistically like 3 or 4 arms that I was really wanting to roll out at a team like an Avon Old Farms and some other teams. So having guys step up in big moments and then, being efficient with their pitch numbers and attacking hitters the right way and so forth.
Yeah, you talked about pitching the other night against the Suns. We're recording this on Friday. This is from Thursday night. You guys were also part of the Home Run Derby, which is probably the first time you've experienced that. Definitely the first time you've experienced that in the Futures League. So what is your take, the Donnie McKillop take on the Home Run Derby to win it?
I love it. I said this to our beat guy in New Britain. I think we got to figure it out a little bit. We should probably practice it. I can't believe, the one homer ends up being a loss there. I feel like maybe the league should make it like a 1-0-1, kind of like a hockey point standing or something. Because it's kind of like shootouts, it feels very hockey-ish in a cool way. But it was a great time. We gave a righty 5 swings and a lefty 5 swings, trying to play at a park to see, could the fence line help us a little bit. They rode one guy out who, he struggled for a little bit and then kind of seemed like he found rhythm a little bit at about the 6th or 7th swing. So could have been a coaching play there that outgot me there by Getty. So a little bit more experience. And I will say I do love, because in my first managers meeting, the talk was about kind of the chaos that was last year's Home Run Derby with the timing. And now the 10 outs, kind of old school. I don't know if you guys played Griffey or Griffey Slugfest on N64. Maybe I'm telling you my age right now, but the old school Home Run Derby with 10 outs is a pretty enjoyable time, pretty easy to follow, and really fun for both teams. And I'm hopeful that the next time we get to shower our guy with the water cooler, and we'll be hopefully more prepared for it. So we got to talk some strategy. I will say, after the 9th inning, I was real excited because I thought we were going straight to it. I had my BP coach warming up, and then all of a sudden, Getty's team, the Suns, takes the field for the 10th. I'm like, what the heck are we doing here? And so I was anxious for it and excited. Cool to see it game 2. I also heard there was another one that night too. So I think our boys will figure it out. We'll get a little bit of rhythm and figure out who our BP guy is that time, what pitches we like, which guys are going which direction. All these learning lessons, and luckily in a season where you got about 70 games, a little bit of leeway in time, but I'd say we'll be more ready for the next one. But it's pretty darn enjoyable and a good time, and the boys like it.
Yeah, I was there in Brockton last night for their derby against the Sea Unicorns. What do you think the MLB should do? You said it's like our version of a hockey shootout. You think the MLB should move to this?
I don't know. It's tricky, right? Because like it does. Like realistically, when we had the 10th inning and we put a runner on third with less than 2 outs, I was kind of ready to not have it, and win baseball the regular way. There is a point of it that I love, and especially playing, 70 games with college kids, and we need to be careful of arms because they're also going to have next spring and be ready to rock. So it does limit your innings and help with the pitching component. And it also is super exciting for the fans, and also like just the fact that you're going to roll out the next day. And as you guys mentioned, with depths and rosters and things like that, you don't necessarily want to be there until 3-4 a.m. in a 14-inning game, 15-inning game. I think the MLB, could you do it if we're talking about kind of the player excitement and the love of the long ball? I do think there is a lot of the flair to it and fun. It could be totally like the shootout. But I really think if you go to it, having a standing separate would be helpful, because it does, like,
yeah,
I was talking
like
to our
hockey.
coaches. Yeah, it just feels a little like, it felt a little bit like a tie last night, and then we lost like the extracurricular event. It's just like, and if we win it though, sure, I'd love it to be a full point. So, but at the same time, it's executing a part of a game that I think, now that I know about it, probably more, we'll just be better prepared for it and have some fun with it. But I love it. I think the MLB level, gets tricky. I don't know. I talked to Getty a little bit last night too, is maybe we put like that California high school tiebreaker, right, where you put a runner on second. Maybe
which is what the MLB is doing now too. Yeah,
exactly, right. Yeah. Like maybe do that in the 10th, and then see what guys can execute with a runner on second to start. That could be a fun little curveball to it too. But yeah, it's cool. I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's definitely fun. So moving on from, well, this is the fun stuff too, but What's impressed you most about your roster so far?
I think it's probably just the quality, the consistent quality at bats and the level of play from all the guys who we can plug and go. I think from my specific roster has definitely been the resilience going into a thunderstorm down 6-3 with not a whole ton of momentum, coming out and winning the back half of a game was pretty sweet. A home opener, pausing it for a thunderstorm. You have all that excitement, energy, enthusiasm, and then have to kind of shelve it for a bit and then turn the page and win the back half. That was cool. Going, into the top of the ninth of a game where we had one hit going into the top of the ninth. Our kids just thought we were going to score runs, and they did. So it's that optimism, that I think the character and personality right away is awesome. I think night one, Jimmy Sullivan had 4 RBIs. Night two, our Nemchek shoving for 5 innings of 1-run baseball. Those are probably and Duquette being the pitcher of the night on night 1 too, to turn that game around a little bit too. And our whole bullpen, I mean, we literally gave up 6 runs in 1 inning. It's just cool that you have so many high caliber players in one space, and they all approach it a little bit differently, right? Like, guys have their own styles and own methods that they're coming from all these different programs with, and kind of learning about each other, sharing things. There's definitely a little bit of like an early workout vibe before our home games. And so I do like the professionalism of it. I think these kids really know how to behave, how to take this league and these games. I love how many returners Brad and Brett brought back, guys who have been in the league before from last year, been in New Britain specifically. So those guys are super helpful. And then, my own personal flavor too. My coaching staff is pretty amazing. So having Matt D'Annunzio, who's been my only assistant coach that I've had every single season I've ever been a head coach. He's been with me through everything. He's at Loomis with me. He does our infield work, and he and I do a lot with the offensive stuff together. And then John Nagel has been a great addition. We've seen what he's done across the field from us, but spending a lot of time with him has been really enjoyable, just to get to know him and what he's about. And then Cam Beliveau is a guy who was a volley for us at Loomis in 2019, and then COVID canceled us in 20, but he was lined up to be with us again. I think he can throw about 700 pitches in a row and then still come out the next day. He's got just a rubber arm. Jim Warwick is a old minor leaguer. He's also a Loomis alum, coach his kid here at Loomis. So just a great baseball guy, and being a minor leaguer, having that savvy veteran, playing a multitude of games on the road, back home, eating, some very quality food and some other foods, depending on stadium visits. But he can really help us just bring a little bit of that calmness and the long-term vision. And we brought Kevin Woodring, who's a Middlebury baseball football guy, who's that was my path. And he's, I think a year out of college now. So we have a lot of like player relatability with some younger guys. I'm kind of in the middle. And then Jimmy and John are kind of our older, savvy wisdom guys. It's a good staff, a good team. I think we have a good slew of pitchers and hitters, and I've got a good core of Loomis kids. I think I got 4 kids I've coached before. That just brings a little bit of comfortability and I think credibility too, because guys know what I'm about. And then they have peers that they can talk to and ask, like, hey, like what, they kind of know what I'm looking for, what I'm about, what I'm going to emphasize, and some of the small details. So having some backup and support from an army of staff and peer players too is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's certainly a great group of guys to have in the locker room, on the field, etc. And specifically in the locker room, you mentioned it. You have a lot of veteran presence, whether it's Andrew Kane, Zach Donahue, or Todd Peterson, guys who have been here before. So how has their veteran experience contributed to your locker room so far?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I mean, I think Donahue and Peterson are both just such personalities, right? And they feed and play off each other. And there's just great energy. Andrew Big Daddy Kane is the announcement as he's coming up to the starting lineup, getting that from the PA system, right? So the fans love him already, and you get that juice and energy. So he kind of steps in there, and you just know that he's going to be composed and notice, those guys will be familiar with the situation, the circumstance, the magnitude of playing at the stadium, having fun. There is that life to it where these guys just understand it and have a good feel. And so you can kind of lean on them to really do some natural leadership, right? I just kind of give times when guys need to show up, where we need to be, what we need to do, and they all kind of work together. And I think having guys come back, I mean, peer-to-peer leadership is just so damn important in team sports, right? Especially in a sport like baseball, where everything is so individualized and guys have their own little things. But then when peers can talk to each other, have some standards, some accountability stuff, those little things go really far when it's player to player. They can be a great liaison. I think day one, Donahue might have been the second kid I saw. And I was fortunate to go to UConn practice in the fall and got to meet him there and saw him do really well in an inter squad. And so, I saw him, I'm like, all right, Donahue, like, you're showing me the way, and kind of just giving him a little bit of a pump and credibility because he knows, that I trust that kid right out the gate because he had a great season for him last year and right away was hitting leadoff for us. And we're a little thin in the infield right now. A lot of our guys are still playing. So he just came right back into the infield for us and was an outfielder all last season with the Bees and with UConn. And so he can play anywhere and just attacks it with just some real life and aggression. And so those kinds of things are really fun to have. And you can't take it for granted as a coach to just have those kind of personalities.
Yeah, definitely. And you seem to certainly let them do what they want, do what they need to do. And you have the right trust in them. So who do you see having a big impact this summer besides the guys we've already mentioned?
Oh man, all of them, man. It's we got 70
Good
games.
Answer.
I hope
Good
everyone. So one of the kids who I just love that I hated playing against and coaching against was Jimmy Sullivan, our catcher. We couldn't run on him when he was at Choate, and we couldn't get him out. And now having him in our wheelhouse, just the way he catches, the way he can throw kids out, I think his numbers were absurd at UMass Lowell in terms of guys trying to run on him and how many he threw out. But yeah, I think, he's a great one. And I think, we mentioned a lot of the guys. I think another cool thing is a lot of our like D3 guys, like our NESCAT kids. And that's obviously, I'm a little biased, but a lot of those NESCAT kids are going to be playing for a little bit of extra life because of all the eligibility stuff that's going around. So, they might be graduating from a place like Middlebury or Wesleyan and looking to go play afterwards at grad school. And they've got 2 or 3 years built up in their bank. And so this summer is a proving ground for them a little bit, kind of like what I'm used to at Loomis, where kids are going out in the summer and trying to get their college placement. There's a little bit of that in this league, which I think is super healthy. And it's going to help our guys have a little bit of that drive, even in game, 47, when the standings aren't really close yet. And, you're kind of at the lull and we're pushing to get to 60-ish game. It just, at that time when you're playing because, hey, like, I got to make sure my numbers are good. I got to make sure I'm approaching right. I got to make sure this is happening. I think it will help lock in that focus. So to me, a guy like Jack Schur and Alec Rich, who've, haven't played 2 years of college baseball and they're juniors right now, it's those kind of guys. I think that hunger is going to drive them a little bit. So, this virus kind of kicked their careers in the pants a little bit. And I think they're going to want to kick it back. So, I think those guys, I would be, I'm excited to see how their season goes and happy they get, 70 games in here to be able to bring it back and make up for some of that lost time.
Before we return to our interview with Donnie McKillop,
we want to share a message from our friends at 78 Sports. Do you have kids playing baseball or softball? We all know practice time is limited, especially here in New England. Not to mention the cost of lessons and cage time can add up very quickly. Save yourself time and money by giving your kids what they need to work on their game at home. Our friends at 78 Sports can help you put together the perfect at-home training setup. Whether you want to start small with just a tee and hitting net or looking to set up a full cage with turf and a pitching machine, they have you covered. The team at 78 Sports has designed and installed hundreds of home and commercial sports training facilities, so let them help you plan the perfect setup for your space. Visit 78 Sports website at 78sports.com. That's SEVENTY 8 sports.com. For a limited time, by mentioning Back to the Futures, you'll receive a 10% discount off your order. That's SEVENTY 8 sports.com.
now back to Donnie McKillop. Now moving on to your background a little bit. Like you've mentioned, you're the head coach at Loomis. You've had a lot of success there. You're 40-12 so far. What's it like, and what do you credit to that success to?
Yeah, Loomis has been a great place for me and my family. It's just an awesome school. It's a boarding school here. I grew up in San Diego, so these places were a total foreign entity to me until I got to Middlebury College and, went to Williston up north, learned under a couple of great coaches. Mark Conroy was the AD there, head football coach, and then Matt Sawyer was a head baseball coach there. And I just really liked those guys, their approach to high school and prep school sports and what they were about and how they respected the kids. And then I went back to Middlebury. I went to Springfield for grad school and was a GA for football. And then went to go up and coach at Middlebury College for baseball for a season, came back to Amherst, was going to coach both at Amherst College, football and baseball, and then the AD job, the assistant AD job here in head baseball and assistant football coach opened up. And so that situation, the position, my wife was pregnant, so it was about time to kind of move into a little bit more of a stable job. That the college coaching, in my 20s, it was kind of a time to make a decision, either really try to get that first full-time college job or kind of come back to prep school with the family life being such a positive environment here. I live in an upperclassmen boys dorm with 38 high school boys who all are part of our family. They take care of my children a ton, and my kids love them and idolize them. And it's just been, I think the feel, the community, the support here is number one, because I can be my most authentic, genuine self here. And then with that, then I get to work with the sports and my profession is all channeled in on athletics here and community life and character building and integrity and those types of things. So being able to just be a culture guy at Loomis, having an assistant coach, like I mentioned, Matt D'Annunzio, who's just been a rock for me as an assistant. I would say we co-manage everything we do. I'm a big collaborator. I'm not a big ego guy. I think Matt is just as responsible for the success here at Loomis as I am. It's just been a lot of fun. We've had special players with the right approach, right ethics, right values, and then some real talent, right? I think as you mentioned the record there, I mean, I think what's really neat too is we just have, I'd say on average, right around 5 to 7 college baseball players in the graduating class. And so like this year's the first year all 5 of our graduating kids who are going on to play college baseball are Division I players. We've sent a lot to the NESCAC, a few to the Patriot League. So I think we just get a quality brand of student athlete that comes here. And then with that reputation, we've also got some really good allegiances locally to bring the best local talent to campus here and have a lot of fun together. So I think it's a culture thing of the whole school, and then on the field having guys to run the program with. And then like this year I even had 2 alumni who, when the NESCAC season was kind of up in the air, they left school and they came back and volunteered for us this spring too. So there's a lot of an alumni legacy, a very committed and loyal baseball group of guys that graduate from here. I have a great group chat with the 5 years of kids that have graduated for me here, and it's just a good time. I mean, I love the kids, I love the environment, and I think the performance happens because our kids are so special and the space is so good.
Yeah, that was a great response, and being your authentic self is super important at Loomis, and it's also great to have that with you going into the Futures League as well. And not only are you the baseball coach, but you're also the assistant athletic director. So how do you balance both of those positions, and what's your day-to-day like as the assistant AD?
Yeah, it's been a great gig here. Sue Cabot, the athletic director here, has done a great job helping me develop in a lot of different ways. When I first got here, I was the scheduler, so I did a lot of all the interscholastic scheduling. So any game that we were playing, whether that's our varsity baseball, varsity football, varsity basketball, varsity hockey, and we've got a great athletics program. But I was also scheduling like our thirds team. So if our freshman team is heading off to go play someone, so that having the bus ready, having box lunches and things, doing all those schedules was kind of the bulk of my job for my first couple of years. And then we hired a new lacrosse coach here, and she's been an excellent addition to the community, and actually folded into our athletics department. And so she took over the scheduling, and I was able to bump out and manage more of our facilities and our facilities staff as well. So that's something that's going to balance me as I'm looking at a variety of the athletics department. And so she does a nice job at diversifying like what I get to manage each year and helping me get a little bit more. And it's fun, right? I mean, managing a facility and my staffers and being able to know a lot about all different athletics events and venues and talking to different coaches about their needs and supporting them. I think when you talk about balance, I think it's part of like living here too is pretty convenient because I don't really have, off hours. Like my evenings, I can coach a baseball practice, and then in the evening kind of chip back away at some work if I've got staffers that I'm managing for the next day, or if I need to go finish something, if a field needs to be done at night, I can kind of hop on the machine and get out there. I definitely take a lot of care of our baseball and softball fields here just because that's something I like to do. But yeah, it is a little bit of a balancing act, as we also have like dorm duty on weekends where I'm in charge of these 38 boys. It's all fun and it's all for these kids here at Loomis. So it's a good time.
Yeah, you got to make sure there's not too much bias with the baseball team there.
Yeah, you're darn right. I mean, that's I typically my rule is I try to drag the softball field before the baseball field every day. So we have these gorgeous baseball dugouts that were gifted to us from great alumni fund, and we as a school are making sure we make that equal. This summer we're building brand new softball dugouts that will be an exact replica of baseball. So it's going to be a great facility over there. Something I'm really excited about, and we have a master plan going on with athletics too right now, which is cool. So there's a lot of management here in that AD world that Miss Cabot's done a great job with, and keeps me in the loop on a lot of it and helps me work on it too. So it's a good space. It definitely, that is one of Sue's things. So I was like, all right, we got to whole picture it. Make sure we step back. Let's put on the assistant AD hat, and that's kind of the nature of boarding school. If anyone's been around it, you're wearing 17 different hats, whether it's my AD hat, my advisor hat, my baseball hat, my football hat. I used to teach history. We'll see if that comes up here again, or any seminars or anything, but it's just about being here for these kids and the mission of the school.
Yeah, you talk about wearing different hats. You did wear a hat in your baseball playing career. You earned all NESCAC honors as a third baseman in 2009 and 2010. As a two-year captain at Middlebury, you led the team to a playoff berth in 2011 and still hold the record for most doubles in a career at Middlebury. So how have you used your experience during your playing career to help your coaching career?
Yeah, I had a great run up there. Really, really valuable time with a lot of great people around me. Just loved Middlebury College. Bob Smith was a great man, good head coach for me, a real players guy. You know, a lot of what I did with him is I would go, and now they have this really fancy field house. But when I was there, we had a bubble. So I'd often spend time with Smitty in the mornings, hitting off a tee out into the bubble because no one else wanted to be in that big dusty space. So, that one-on-one informal time I had with Smitty, who's just a great man, and Phelpsy, who was our assistant coach up there, Nides. They were just a good trio of coaches that were great and let players really kind of just come into themselves. They really let the players lead the program and have fun and kind of set their culture. So I do think kind of that leash and allowing, trust and credibility. I think also a little bit of my footballness makes me maybe a little bit tighter. I have some leash and sometimes I have to remind myself a little bit, all right, like, let's baseball it. That football experience was a big part of it for me too at Middlebury. Just the grit and some of kind of the hard work that football takes. And I was a quarterback, so a little bit of that kind of like poise and calmness when things are a little bit hot. Those types of playing moments were really fun. But I think being in New Britain, like taking the college culture here, having an understanding, especially I think being a D3 athlete and then coaching a summer team is a nice kind of melding pot, right? Because I think at the summer league, I have to understand that like all the kids who are here are not necessarily, trying to play 70 games and be at everything 6 hours early and take on-field IO and BP and drill work. And, so just kind of understanding, not everybody in our league is going to be playing for a professional future. There will be a few, right? Hopefully a couple guys on our team each year will be striving for that. But to understand how to, really make everyone comfortable and help every individual get to their potential and reach their goals, and then kind of match up what our team goals are of getting that championship at the end of the year too, and how we play all those pieces together to make them work together. So, I would say, yeah, the hat I had at Middlebury, I played all right. I grew up, again, I said this probably 3 times now, but San Diego, I played a lot of baseball. It was year round, and so I learned from a lot of great coaches, from my, young travel teams to my high school coaches. And so just some of the approaches and things I had there that then got fine-tuned when I got to Middlebury and really allowed me to succeed. So a lot of good little things that were really fun to be around.
Before we get back to our interview with Donnie McKillop,
we want to share a message from our friends at On Demand Storage. Are you tired of living in clutter? Do you need more space around your home or office? Are you sick of visiting your self-storage unit? Does your business need a way to securely and conveniently store excess materials? On-demand storage will pick up your items directly from your location and bring them in storage for you. When you want something back, give us a call and we can deliver it back right away. We bring convenience to the outdated self-storage process. Visit ondemandStorage.com and submit an inquiry. During sign-up, mention the Futures League and receive 50% off your storage pickup. Once again, that's ondemandStorage, all one word, .com.
We now return to our interview with Donnie McKillop.
So like you said, you were under center. You were actually under center for the 2007 NESCAC championship team. You got all NESCAC honors for football, like you said, in addition to baseball. And you still have numerous passing categories where you lead for the Panthers for Middlebury. So you're the coach, you're the offensive coordinator and QB coach. What kind of offense are you running there? Because you're from San Diego, but now you're over here. What's that like being the football coach, and what are you drawing up there?
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite things about going to play football at Middlebury was Bob Ritter and Jason Thomas was there at the time, and Joe Early were kind of the three guys that were masterminding a switch in the offense as I was going into my freshman year. And so they were going to Chip Kelly's spread offense. So they had Chip in the office, I think right before that fall that I went there. So they had him, I think, in the winter going in probably 2007. And so we ran the spread and we were the fastest team in the league for sure. I mean, the teams could not line up quick enough. And so we had a multiple style offense too, though, because not only did we have all the spread stuff, but we also had guys who had been playing in kind of a single back pro set. So we could do probably a little bit of too much of everything, but we were super simple with our pass concepts. And it was a really well-balanced attack when I was young and learning the offense there. It was a fun element, and we were hot on the ball. We were scoring points. We were 1-back, 2-back motions, moving around. I was actually running the triple option a little bit as a freshman. I think I ran a lot more than I did the other years. As I got older, I think I sat back and threw a little bit more, got smarter, Then I think here, Coach Moore has done a good job. He's brought some stuff. He worked at Amherst College as well as I did for a season. So we have a good understanding. It's definitely a lot of that spread stuff, the fun and gun. And then we pulled in a really good running back this year as well. And so I think we're going to be pretty lethal next year. If you check out Jeff Moore's Twitter, you'll see some of the football recruits that are coming to Loomis. We're going to look pretty darn good. So we're going to have a big old offensive line, a really good quarterback coming in, Dante Reno, who's already, I think, got a bunch of FBS offers and is just even a more quality kid than he is football player. And that's saying something because he's a damn good football player. So, yeah, I mean, we roll with the pieces we have, and I'm excited. I think that our school has done a great job setting us up for success I think we had a really good year this year. We're kind of on the upward trend, and next year hoping to really kind of get a step forward in that program for sure.
All right, so we're both Pats fans. Can you give us anything on Mac Jones? You think he's NFL ready?
Oh man, I hope so. I hope it's not the old Bill Belichick, Nick Saban too close. Maybe a little nepotism there. I feel like those guys. I mean, they're two of the best coaches ever. But, I think Mac Jones looked pretty good in that national title game. So if it was interesting, I thought maybe it was going to be an opportunity to kind of have maybe a little bit more of a dual threat and see if the offense wanted to be different and evolve a little bit. And not saying Mac can't run, but it's not his primary.
Not his forte.
Yeah, not what he's trying to do. So we'll see. We'll kind of see how it rolls. The facilities guy I work with here, who's our main athletics facilities staff guy, Craig, he always gives me a hard time because I was a diehard Chargers fan, right? And when the Chargers moved to Los Angeles, I'm saying when Ryan Leaf was on the Chargers, I was a season ticket, like I was attending all the games, right? So that's a pretty bad time to be a Chargers fan. Junior Seau, Rodney Harrison, even though they became Patriots, right? They're really Chargers in life. That then when my team moved to Los Angeles, man, it was tough. So I've actually jumped on this Patriots bandwagon. My wife's from Connecticut, so
great to have you.
Yeah, I didn't want to have a house divided, so just want to raise my kids on one team, and then I hop on this thing, and then Tom Brady leaves, and now what the heck? But hopefully they'll bring us back, and I got to learn how to be a bit more of a hardcore Patriots fan because my heart isn't fully in it yet. We'll get there one day, though, I think.
I got the Brady up here.
Yeah, I see that. That's good. That's good. I went to a Patriots Steelers game with my father, and my family is from Pittsburgh, so they're Steelers people, and my dad hated I was wearing a Patriots beanie to the game, and it was at Gillette in the playoffs, and the Patriots won, and he had to buy me a Tom Brady jersey. So that was my first Patriots gear. Was my co-captain at Middlebury gave me that Patriots beanie to wear to the game, and then my dad had to buy me a jersey. So it was a good bet,
Yeah, that's a good way to get welcomed into the Patriots bandwagon right there with a Tom Brady jersey.
Yeah, no doubt. The GOAT.
The GOAT. And we're going to get to our final segment here in just a minute, but how about a message to Bees fans as we're officially into the season?
Yeah, I would say always keep flocking out there, guys. It's keep showing up, the promos and everything that's going on. Stay tuned. Media team, I can't thank them enough. Log on to our Twitter, our Instagram, our website. Those guys are really kicking butt for us, so you'll always know what's going on. Thanks for that support in night one, especially for those of you who stayed through that lightning storm. We at least came back and won it for you. And, I already gave Jesse a by name shout out, but it was really cool to meet him down the dugout and that B unit, man, that energy and that fun up there. I think there's no better way to start your night, no matter what you're doing, than to come to a Bees game. The deals on the beer and the hot dogs, can't get much better than that. And good food and hanging out with friends in a ballpark. I can't tell you how cool it was to just walk out onto that field on opening night and just kind of feel the buzz, right? I said to some of the guys, I was like, wow, like you can kind of feel like that major league, like pregame, it kind of just feels a little bit like that. It's just, there's that vibe to it, the stadium, the pregame is just a different vibe. So those Bees fans keep bringing that for us because it's super helpful.
Yeah, the Bees are buzzing. And
you got it.
And you don't want to miss that.
No way.
And we now move on to our final segment. It's called Quick Hits. It's presented by Zephyr, the official on-field hat of the Futures League. Zephyr, high quality and innovative design since 1993. So, Donnie, we have a few more questions to have our audience get to know you a little bit better. Is that cool?
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's do it. First one for you. Why did you originally want to work in sports, and what made you decide to become a coach?
Yeah, I love sports. When I finished college, I was I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and so I knew school and sports. It was kind of growing up. It was family, church, school, sports. That was kind of the order. And so when I was graduating, there was a great opportunity to go work at the Williston Northampton School. A good Middlebury alum, Mark Conroy, hooked me up, and I actually thought I was going to just take a year to figure out what I was going to do. My father's a lawyer. Maybe I would take the LSATs. I was a poli-sci major. Maybe I would, go back into law like my dad did. I like to argue, can talk a decent amount. And, but what ended up happening is I just fell in love with teaching and coaching, and then ended up just chasing this coaching dream and athletics. And when I got to go to Springfield for grad school and talk about athletic administration and just the different things that play in, there's something to be said for working with kids when they're in the most receptive environment, right? And when I think back about it, like things I learned, I can tell you exactly who my coaches were all the time, what their priorities were, what they thought was important, how teams worked, how teammates work together. Those types of things I think are so important and are just something that I love. My dad always told me to make an impact. That was the line when I was trying to figure out what the heck to do with my life in a profession. And once I was teaching and coaching, I felt like that's what I was doing and continue to feel that way today. And all those kids get to make an impact back on me. Some of the smiles and laughs I get to have around young men playing sports, it's about as good as it gets.
Yeah, you're certainly making an impact. You said you're in a 38-person dorm. You have a few kids. It's like you have 40 plus kids.
Certainly feels that way. Yeah. Especially if you ask my wife, we've got, I'm telling you, we got 3 kids. We got one coming August 9th. So I told Brad and Brett, I was like, hey, you'll need a different manager for like 2-3 days. We'll figure out when that will be. Hopefully the baby cooperates with us, and it'll be the 4th one in 5 years. So we're right in the thick of it. 5 Christmas cards, 4 new additions, and then like you said, 38 humans who live next to me. Every waking moment of every day is pretty darn fun. A lot of those kids, though, like you go out in the common room and you're just, you talk about like athletics. A lot of the guys in my building will just be, hanging out, eating pizza and watching sports, or talking about life, talking about relationships, whatever it is. It's pretty darn good. It's very comfortable.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And congratulations. A little Futures League playoff baby there. It sounds like that's right about the time.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. D'Annunzio's got this theory, right? He's got a superstition, because I had my son, Trace, he was born in 2017 and we won our high school baseball league. And then my daughter was born in 2018, 13 months later, and we won our prep school league. We didn't have a kid the following year and we didn't win the league. And so then I was like, all right, I'll do it for you. So then we had another kid, but then COVID, man, we didn't win that season, but now she's pregnant again. And we had a great spring. We only had 13 games because of the whole kind of weird relaunching back into COVID thing, but we went 10-3 and had a great season with it. So I'm willing to say that this baby's definitely a positive in how we play. So, I guess when you're missing a lot of time at home for your early BP or you're showing up early, I think maybe it motivates me and focuses me a little bit more on having to make sure we're doing really well if pregnant wife at home is really working her butt off for us. So when people are sacrificing for you, you better make sure it's a damn good product.
Absolutely. And from the coaching questions to more of the fan questions, how about favorite ballpark you've attended as a fan?
Petco. Ooh, Fenway. Petco or Fenway, I don't know. San Diego's home. That park is fun. Very different reasons, right? I'm sure you can imagine. But Petco and Fenway are great.
Yeah, two great stadiums across the major leagues. And how about sports stadium or sporting event that's on your bucket list?
Sports event. So when I was young, 1998, I watched the Padres get swept by one of the best Yankees teams. So I've been to the World Series. That was a good one. Tony Gwynn, my absolute idol. That was fun. And his son went to my high school, but I would say probably Super Bowl. Like I would love to see a Super Bowl. Yeah, that's probably it.
Yeah, Super Bowl, popular answer on this podcast as well. And if you were walking up to the dish or walking out to the mound, what would your walk-up music be?
Oh man, probably Return to the Mac, right? If I'm walking up to play again, that's got to be fitting.
Absolutely, why not, right? You just mentioned one, but how about favorite big league team and player, whether it's current or historical?
Padres #1, Tony Gwynn #1. I'm wearing a Red Sox sweatshirt here. Nomar Garciaparra. Right, Tony Gwynn was not an infielder, so I grew up playing in the infield. Nomar was, the big three that I like. One of the big three I like the most. Jeter and A-Rod were fine, but I just love Nomar. All his superstition, his batting gloves, his wiggle. There was something about him I just love. So yeah, it's got to be Tony and Nomar, and yeah, Padres and Red Sox, definitely. And then other athletes, I would say if it's not baseball, it's I think in my courts the San Diego Chargers and Stan Humphries. That's a pretty epic, like out of left field name right there. Stan Humphries, you might not even know who he is, right? But pretty above average quarterback, was awesome. And I'd live there. Childhood,
Oh, totally. What about a nickname?
I really liked Donnie Kidd at Middlebury when I was a freshman. Donnie Kidd was a good one. A lot of guys like to do like the Donnie baseball or Donnie football. But to me, that the memory of the older guys at Middlebury were really kind to me and called me Donnie Kidd when I was a freshman. And we were, diving in the gorge together after 2-a-days, trying to get our legs finally relaxed and rested. They just embraced me, and it brings me to a good space of just great team memories and a championship season. So all those things just come back.
That's awesome. Yeah. Any superstitions you have?
Lots of them. Yeah, I would say my favorite memory of a superstition, right? Like I'll typically, if we win a game, try to eat at least one same meal before that next one. So like if I had a turkey sandwich and we won, I'd like to have a turkey sandwich again, which I might have to relax on with a 68 game season if we go on some super streak. But I remember I was in 7th grade and I, for some reason, put barbecue chips on my sandwich one day, and I hit 2 home runs. And I think I tried to have barbecue chips on my sandwich before every game for about 3 years. It didn't work after that, but I gave it a whirl just to see if that was the special sauce. But so who knows? If we're really digging at some point in the summer, maybe I'll bring some barbecue lays and throw them on a sandwich,
As long as it's not like a sleeve of Oreos or a carton of ice cream or something. So what about a favorite ballpark food or beverage when you're attending a game?
Oh, favorite ballpark food. I mean, the ballpark hot dog's got to be just a classic. You can't go to a baseball game and not have a hot dog. So
yeah, definitely. That's definitely
just
a common answer.
Yeah.
What about bubble gum or sunflower seeds?
Oh, see it. Yeah, here you go. Superstition. So Denunzi and I both, if we had a good inning, we stay with what we went with, but we bring gum and seeds. I've got Orbit as my gum. I also really like to bring the tub of Double Bubble. So 2017 through 2019, my Loomis dugouts always had the tub. COVID hit and I didn't bring the tub back, but maybe that'll come back. But we always have sunflower seeds. I'm a David's guy, right? Just a classic, but Coach D's a bigs guy. So we bring our own stuff, but we alternate. So you're talking about superstition. Yeah, there's another superstition. I'm not superstitious, just a little stitious, right?
What is your all-time favorite baseball memory?
Oof, all-time favorite baseball memory. Oh, there's a lot of good ones, man. Quick hits. I don't know whether I want to go funny here, whether I want to go serious.
Give us both. We got you.
I would say the serious manner. I'm going when we were in 2011. So when I first got to mid, we had not made the tournament. They won in the spring of 2005. I think they went like 20 and something in the spring of 2006, and then it's 2006, 2007, and then the spring of 2008 was my freshman year there, and we were okay, and we were kind of a 500 team. And so for my freshman, sophomore, junior year, we were battling always, but we were always kind of the third team on the west side of the NESCAC. And so my goal was definitely to get to the NESCAC tournament. And so I'll never forget, I popped my shoulder out that year, actually my left shoulder, was kind of just battling through at bats and just really hoping that our team just freaking made it to the tournament. And I was our only captain on the team. So a lot of it was just really encompassed around just kind of making it to the postseason. And so we were at Trinity, waiting on an Amherst Wesleyan result, and having to try to play that game, but I was out in the field, and all of a sudden our fan section just it erupted, right? And in that moment I remember the hairs on the back of my neck, like I knew we were in, right? And just getting in and starting that kind of getting back into the tournament was hopeful that was going to kind of spark something. And just playing in the NESCAC tournament was real fun. My freshman and my senior, I also mixed in the outfield, and I used to like all the football guys shirtless on the fences heckling me. And at Amherst, there was a good one. I had never been to Dunkin' Donuts before I got to the Northeast. At Amherst, there was a line of guys in right field with no shirts on, maybe not the soberest. I was a quarterback, but I was never really the physique of a quarterback. I was always pretty thick, and they were just chirping at me, asking me how many culottes I drank a day. And I was like, I don't know what a culotta is. And they said, no way, you drink all the culottes. So it was some good banter back and forth with some good guys who some of them I knew a little bit. So I will always recall and have a lot of fun with the NESCAC fans and the football guys who were chirping me at every stadium. Yeah, I would say you want to go funny memory, we played a midweek game, and I swear it was like 25 degrees. I have no clue where we were, but our catcher, we had a senior pitcher going, and our catcher throwing down plunked this kid square in the back in a cold day. And I'll never forget Rob Palladino's face when Andrew Matson hit him in the back when he was throwing down between innings. So if that's out there, Rob Palladino, who was just an absolute locker room staple of Middlebury College baseball. The face he gave when Madsen plunked him in the back was pretty good.
Yeah, those are two fantastic memories, and some that you'll definitely never forget, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Donnie, that's all we have for you today. Thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck with everything, and we can't wait to see you and the Bees on the field for the rest of the summer.
Let's get it buzzing. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Donnie.
This has been episode 7 of season 3 of Back to the Futures, the official podcast of the Futures Collegiate Baseball League. We have new episodes coming out every Monday and Thursday. Make sure to subscribe to our podcast. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see everyone soon.